and then lots of work to be done. No place to hang out or washing, and then I can't blame all on the sun. Oh no, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
Booyah, and it's time for the Game Sports Show. It is yours truly, David McKeag. We're here live on location at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. It is June the 24th, Sunday, and we're here for a special edition of the Game Sports Show, which usually at Boston Pizza is on Thursdays, but due to the NHL draft and due to some news that we knew what was going to happen on the draft, because here on the Game Sports Show we can tell the future, just kidding, but due to the NHL draft weekend, we decided to postpone the show until Sunday here at Boston Pizza. As I said, it's yours truly, David McKeag. I'm going to bring in the boys, Brad Cochimilio and Justin Heichel, in just a few moments. Going to get through the usual introduction portion of the show, get through the sponsors, and get through the agenda of the show before I bring in the fellas. And here on the Game Sports Show, we have many sponsors and contributors. I want to give a shout out to our board operator here tonight, Scott Nason, as always, and to Aaron Grisdak of Boston Pizza, and the bringer of beer, Mitch Wilson, as they always do a great job here at the Boston Pizza staff. And we're here after 9 p.m. And you know what that means. We're here for their daily specials. It's the $9 schooners for the Molson Canadian and Coors Light products, along with the $4 bar rails and the half price off appetizers as well. And thanks to a list of additional sponsors, their Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Wicked Sister, both homes to the Game Sports Show as well. Wednesday for Sports Center Bar and Grill, and that's every second Wednesday for the summer, and it's every Wednesday from September until May. Mondays at the Wicked Sister throughout the year, where you can hear myself and Scott Nason, and back to the Wednesday show where you can hear myself, Jamie, Matt Primo, Dustin Grondin, and Justin Heichel. And here on Thursdays, obviously you hear myself, Brad, Justin, and also Dane Hanchero when he is home as well. And also a list of additional sponsors: North Shore Sports and Auto, Superior Pro Shop, The Salon, Discover the Canvas, Northern Critters in Need, Big Brother Big Sister, and also Northern Signs here in Sault Ste. Marie. And thanks to a list of our new additional sponsors, that is Silver Creek Golf Course, Jamie Henderson, where we're going to be doing some shows there from July and August months, and we'll get into more details of that next week on the show. And also to KBX, Kem Belanger, and special welcome to Silver Creek and KBX for joining the Game Sports Show. And over in Sioux, Michigan, another additional sponsor, that being Pingator Cleaners. And here for tonight's show, we have an action-packed show as we always do. It's going to be majority of the NHL draft, and that's going to be in the second part of the show. But here after this intro part, we're going to talk a little bit of Toronto Blue Jays baseball and even a little fun local baseball like we like to do here at the intro before we get into the meat and potatoes of the NHL draft. And where can you hear previous shows of the Game Sports Show? You can listen to all the shows, or where you can keep in touch with us. You can go to www.thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com, and you can simply just hit the follow button, and you can just navigate throughout the website as well. You can go to the sponsors pages that we have for the Wicked Sister, Sports Center, and Boston Pizza, where you can listen to all the previous shows and keep up to date with the Sioux's only local, regional, and national sports show. We also have an about part where you can read about the Game Sports Show, and we have the merchandise part, which, you know, if you haven't checked out a merchandise spot, you can also check out my Instagram page and the Game Sports Show Instagram page, along with many other Instagram pages in the Sault Ste. Marie region, as the merchandise is being worn with pride throughout Sault Ste. Marie, as we have merchandise that's out, and I'm even currently wearing it here as I'm recording at Boston Pizza. It's $25 a shirt, with the proceeds going towards 100% charity for Big Brother Big Sister and Northern Critters in Need. Shirts are only $25. You can get a shirt on thegamesportshow.com, and you just go to email us at thegamesportshowssm@gmail.com. You simply state the size of the shirts you require, and you can also do payment through e-transfer or cash upon delivery, and we deliver to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and within Sault Ste. Marie area. Other than that, we do have options for shipping as well if you'd like to contribute to the show in regards to contributing to charity. As I said, 100% of the proceeds go towards charity. Without further ado, before we get into the show, I got to bring in the guests and we just have our panel members here tonight. No guests here tonight. It's strictly going to be a news talk show today about, well, like I said, the Blue Jays and, of course, the busy weekend we had in the NHL. And going to the man on my right, he writes for SudOday.com. He's well known in Sault Ste. Marie. And we're trying out our new equipment today with the microphone going and our old equipment going. Brad, we got lots of things going on here. Without further ado, the one, the only, the legend, the best hair in the show, Brad Kochmillion.
Wow, I don't know how to follow that up. Best
Every week
hair,
I try to give you one.
Best hair, yeah, I can't argue with that.
Sorry,
I
Hike,
can't
you
argue
lost
with
that.
I can't, you know what, long, short, I can't argue with that.
No.
Hey, it's always great to be here, though.
Absolutely, and we're here on a special edition show, as I said, on Sunday. And I got to say to our listeners, we're going to be having throughout the summer a lot of Thursdays editions, but we're also going to have some Sundays. Make sure you keep an eye on our social media with our Instagram page at The Game Sports Show SSM, on our website or Twitter page, myself or Scott Nason, in regards to if we have any schedule adjustments throughout the week. As you know, the summer can get pretty busy, Hike. Without further ado, I'm going to bring you in, and my compliment to you today is you look good. You have a nice beard, the best beard on the show. I'm going to go with that, definitely. I don't even know how many people have beards on the show, trying to think on the top of my head. I don't really have a chin strap, doesn't really count. Brady got a slight one. Dustin doesn't really rep one. So, not too many beards going on the show, but I'm going to give you the trophy for the best beard. And how you doing, my friend?
Not too bad. It's actually just my soup strainer. I get chicken wings caught in it sometimes, so
Nice.
I like to savor it. Flavor saver.
Nice.
We're gonna call it? Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe we work with that.
That's what people say about getting their stuff caught in the teeth, too.
Nah.
That's
This
gross.
is better. You can hide it. You just comb over the hair, right? You fold it in there, hide it, you can sneak things into the movie theater.
Yep.
Nice weekend out there. Pretty good weekend. Nice NHL draft Friday night. Lounging on the deck in the afternoon, cruising through some picks yesterday afternoon. Incorporating my new puppy from Northern Critters into the household.
Yes, I forgot to state that. Thanks for reminding me. How's that going?
You know what? It's actually been a dream. She's an absolute doll.
Yeah, she looks like it.
I might be a little biased, but no, I couldn't have asked for a better dog so far, and we're a weekend.
That's awesome. I remember, I believe in the philosophy of, rescuing before, what's the other term? Rescuing before...
Well, just buying, like a
Just natural buying. It's always good to rescue, and it's always a feel-good story as well. And, I've told Northern Critters before, as they've grown into our sponsor on the show, that I would love to get a Doberman Pinscher. And if there's ever one that comes up for adoption that's a puppy that's rescued, I told them to message me first, because not that I'm picky about dogs, there's a lot of cute dogs out there, but there is a certain preference. Now, I'm not sure if that certain dog would be suitable for my apartment, like I'd like to say, but you know what, point of the story is Northern Critters in Need is great foundation, and they definitely got to check out their new Instagram page as well, where you can check out all the puppies they have available. And let me tell you, they got a lot of cute puppies available. I never thought I would say cute on the show, but I just did.
I mean, no pun intended, but they got a lot of volunteers working their tails off for them.
Aha.
I saw a lot of stuff
Nice.
firsthand this week, picking up the puppy on Sunday morning and just meeting some people at the dog park this week, some foster parents and stuff like that. You know what, there's a lot of people with their heart in the right place in this organization.
Absolutely. You know what, and Sault Ste. Marie really comes together when it comes to pet loving, and and the direction that we have now with taking care of animals and the fight against animal cruelty as well. That's a lot of big fronts when it comes to animals, and Northern Critters is a great foundation in terms of bringing the community together to find someone who can be a part of their family and create that happiness. And we're glad that the Game Sports Show has Northern Critters in Need on board, especially with these shirts. We get to donate $25 per shirt, like I said, with those proceeds going towards Northern Critters. And we also can't forget Big Brother Big Sister as well, as they provide a lot to not only to Sault Ste. Marie but worldwide, to many youth and also to adults. The Big Brother Big Sister is a great foundation as well. But Justin, we're veering off with talking about charities. We got sports to jump into here, fellas, and without further ado, we're going to jump into a little bit of fun sporting news. As I said last week, we're going to be talking about baseball here on the Game Sports Show. We're going to get as many local guests in terms of baseball coaches on the show, and we're trying to get some news and updates as best as we can. I don't have much going into this week. We're hoping next week or the following week we can do a full recap and officially start discussing those sports and having some players or even coaches come on by and come on the show. So we're going to go towards the Men's League Open Pitch League, the hardball pitch. And I know Brad's got the smile on his face over here, and as the lights dim here at the Boston Pizza
Setting
for
the
us,
mood,
setting the
apparently,
mood
for
for the boys. Last week, we were going into the action. The Renegades we're 2-0, and we end up losing last game. The perfect season has come to a complete halt. 3 games in, we end up losing 14-8 to the Hellcats. A very brutal defensive performance with almost double digits in errors by the Renegades. Yours truly only had 1 drop at second base in terms of trying to, when it was a pitch off the mound, we were trying to pick off someone going to third when he was leaning off the base. So mine wasn't even an error in play, just saying like that, but it was still an error. And, there was, like I said, about almost a dozen errors into the double digits of errors for the team, which certainly costed us the game without further saying, or without the, what's the right word for that? Without an easy way of putting it. That's the word I'm looking for. We really sucked defensively, Brad, and we lost. What do you think the Renegades can do to improve going into next week's action against Ryan McDonald and the Donuts?
Rymack, eh?
Rymack
making a return to baseball.
Oh, yeah, he's still...
He might have had, out of all the guys I've ever covered as far as rep baseball in this city, Rymack may have had the widest batting stance I've ever seen.
He still has that.
Yeah, he may have had the widest batting stance I've ever seen. It's scary that I remember that, considering that was probably like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the widest batting stance.
I think he's a little bit thinner then, too.
Well, I mean, 10 years ago, I'm sure we were all a little bit thinner. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
Let's be honest. If we're going to throw one person under the bus, we may as well throw all of us under the bus, right?
I'm just going to throw a couple jabs at Rymack.
Rymack's a good guy. Rymack is a good guy.
Yes, he is. You know what? And like I said, the Renegades, myself, to update everyone with my stats, I end up going, again, 1 walk. I go 0 for 1 with the strikeout, but I advance it to first on the wild pitch. So I swung at a pitch that ended up going in the dirt, but ended up making it to first base. So my average is now .333. I'm 1 for 3 this year, and I have 2 stolen bases still this year going into. But I did get a run when I got onto the first base, so my on-base percentage is still 1,000, which leads the Renegades team. And .33 average. Not bad. It looks better than the Blue Jays averages right now. Yeah. So that's the update on my stats.
But I'm pretty sure I could hit for a better average than the Blue Jays at this point. To be
I think everyone in the league, we're going to get to that in just a few moments, but the league's overall average has been absolutely atrocious. But you know what? The very funny topic that we're going to bring up throughout the summer is the Men's League Open when it comes to my Men's League team with the Renegades. To get a little bit of flow going in terms of some comedic side for the show to lighten up everyone here for laughing at my stats, maybe, unless they get really sick, and then maybe the scouts are going to start calling for college ball. Mike, do you have a chance for some college ball? No, I don't.
I'd probably pump the brakes there.
Yeah.
Maybe put that energy towards something else.
Put that energy towards...
Yeah, I don't know. Is that a nice way to put it? Is that letting you down a little easy there? I mean...
You know what? That's not the usual kind of harsh remarks that I get from you guys, so I can take that.
Well, I mean,
I can take that.
I've had a puppy all week, so I'm
you're a little bit soft.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I could take advantage of that today then.
I wouldn't.
No? Okay. So no, just a little, I want to say a little, getting on the serious side for the Men's League baseball. You know, we play every Tuesday and or Thursday at 8:30 at Ram Field or at the fields at Strathclair. You should come out and definitely check out the action. It's intense. It is absolutely intense. It's hard pitch. It's serious. We're competitive. It's 7 innings. It's a couple-hour game. It's really entertaining. It's awesome to come out and watch. There's some good talent out there, and I'm not saying that's me, but I'm just saying that there's some good talent out there to go watch. And overall, in general,
because most of us know that the talent really is.
If you want someone just to run or be very talkative, that I'm the guy. I'm your guy. I can recruit, and possibly bring the Molson beverages as well. That's a good part of the game as well. But no, it's not on the bench, so it's for after the game. But besides the point, in general, you got to make sure you come out to watch. It's definitely enjoyable to watch the baseball, especially the local baseball with the youth. If you have a family member that has a child that's in baseball, or if you have a friend or anything that it is, it's definitely good to get out, enjoy the fresh air first off, and get out and enjoy the local baseball talent, as it is really on the ascending side in Sault Ste. Marie for the talent in baseball. And it's credit to the Blue Jays because they've been so hot the last couple of years, and besides the last 2 years, obviously, including this year. But definitely got to get out and check out Sault Minor Baseball's website and check it out. And if you even are interested in joining baseball for your child or for yourself, if you're an adult, just sign up and search the website website. You can reach any kind of an individual that represents each league for slow pitch, for hard pitch, for men's open, or for junior baseball or bantam, or whatever the league is. If you're interested in playing or getting your child in, just check out Sioux Minor Baseball Association's website. Now, get into the pro baseball side of things. The Toronto Blue Jays, before we go to our first break, and when we come back from our break, we're going to be discussing the NHL draft. So we're quickly going to dissect the Toronto Blue Jays because we do only have a limited amount of time on the show. So we're only given a certain amount of time for the Jays. But they did improve their record today to 36-41. They're 20-20 at home. They're 16-21 on the road. In the last 10, they're 6-4, and they just defeated the Los Angeles Angels 7-6 today. Now, the Rays, they're still a game behind the Rays, and they're still 15 games behind the Yankees and Red Sox. 15 games. That is absolutely disgusting. Like, I'm staring at the standings right now, and I remember I said this last week, when we were the first 3 weeks of the season, the Blue Jays were the top two teams in the division. They were 15-7, I think it was, is what the Blue Jays were, and the Yankees were sort of struggling, but we all knew that probably wouldn't last. But it was the Blue Jays that didn't last, really much so. And they are fourth right now. They have a safe cushion over the Baltimore Orioles that are 23-53 with 27.5 games back. Davis has the worst batting average I've ever seen. No, that's very sarcastic, and I'm kidding. But besides that, the guy cannot get ahead. He's having a very bad year. He's a guy who has slugged 40-plus home runs in this game, and now he's not really slugging home runs a whole bunch as much as he used to. This division is so superior to anyone in Major League Baseball, it seems like. And I think the Blue Jays are in a little bit too deep of waters to tread out of, Brad.
Yeah, they're in obviously a terrible position right now. But this is a team whose starting pitching has let them down for the most part, and when something that was supposed to be your strength ends up being your biggest weakness, it's gonna make for a tough season. I know there was a lot of excitement early on through 22 games, and I get it, and there should have been at that point, but I also don't know that my expectation for this Jays team was a division championship as well.
No, we but predicted wild card, I think.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, but that being said, this was a team that if their pitching was solid and their bats overachieved, they could potentially battle for a playoff spot. But this is a team that they've lost a lot of pieces, and they're in a position where they're probably going to have to look at a full-out rebuild at some point, just because it's a situation where they need to make that decision, and I feel like the right decision is to start rebuilding.
I think it is, and we've said here with the Jays countless times the last few weeks, being how they should definitely consider the future starting as soon as possible. We know that a baseball season is long. We stress that. We understand that here on the Game Sports Show and in general, but the season may be long. But in this division, I think it's a little bit of different circumstances. And when you get too far behind, sometimes it's too difficult to tread out of. Being 15 games back of a team like the Yankees and or the Red Sox, you're in a bad position. And look at the other teams in the division. In the AL West, who are still considered in the AL, with the Astros, Mariners, and Angels, who are 40 wins plus. Okay? And you got the Tigers, who are second in the AL Central, 8 games behind the Indians, who are 40 wins plus. And if everyone forgets the playoff format, I'll quickly say here that the top team from each division goes, and then there's 2 wildcard teams. So right now, the Blue Jays are in the bottom part of the standings with the AL. Right now, you got the Yankees, Indians, and Astros at the playoffs started today, with your wildcard teams being the Red Sox and your other wildcard team being the Mariners. Okay, and right behind the Mariners, you have Seattle. You have Los Angeles Angels. Behind them, you have the Athletics, and then behind the Athletics, you would have the Tampa Bay Rays. And then behind the Rays, you'd have the Tigers, and then behind the Tigers, you would have you would have the Blue Jays, and then you would have the Rangers. So they're not in a bad spot. But if you really want to think of the second wild card spot, right now they're pursuing the Mariners. So if you want to go with the Mariners at 47 wins, the Jays at 36, the Jays are 11 games back of that second wild card spot. And that's already too deep.
It seems unfathomable that they're going to make a push to try and get into the wild card, given the circumstances that surround the team right now. I mean, like, there's bigger fish to fry. I mean, front office is trying to figure out if they can morally trade Osuna with what's going on, or if they can keep him around and will the fan base accept him. You know, like, that's... I'm not trying to be dramatic with it. I think that's just facts right now. Is any team you run the risk of? I mean, look at not to jump ship here, but look at Ottawa with Mike Hoffman. You had a player causing issues. You just have to get rid of him. It's better for the franchise to save face is to just cut ties with that player and move on.
Osuna, who got suspended now for 75 games.
Yeah. And I think it's retroactive to the beginning of May or May 19th. I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah.
But given the circumstances of the season, I don't think they're going to be able to pull it off and make a run. I think you got to cut bait with some guys now with the two trade deadlines coming up and try to better your team and see what you can get going into next year.
Absolutely, and I really think that at the end of the day, the Blue Jays are definitely got to start thinking the future. Like I said, long season, but I think it's a little bit of an exception when you're as far back as they are right now. And if they really want to try to make the playoffs, that means you have to start making trades to bring in some guys to make changes. But let's get real. Those changes are a little bit unrealistic that are going to be made, I think, in my total sports expert opinion. So without further ado, fellas, we're going to take our first break. We talked a little bit local baseball on the fun side with yours truly's men's league team, the Renegades. I'm sure they love getting that kind of publicity with that, I'm sure. But also just Sioux Minor Baseball to promote there a little bit, but also talking a little bit when it comes to the Blue Jays with the Blue Jays record being a little bit behind and with Roberto Osuna having that 75-game suspension. And the season is absolutely flying by, though, may I say. It's already June the 24th. You know, we got 2 months of summer left, and summer just started. It was just the first day of summer on the 21st. Officially on Thursday the 21st that it was officially summer. So I don't mean to say that and rush that, but summer is definitely short here in the Sioux, and summer sports are definitely flying by just as fast. So make sure you enjoy the action. And if you can get out to a ball game this year, if that's either in Detroit or Toronto, or wherever it may be, definitely go enjoy that, because I've been to so many ball games, I can't even count that high probably. Just kidding. But a lot of ball games. Definitely enjoyable to watch. And throughout the show here and throughout the summer, we're going to be discussing Blue Jays, but we're also going to start bringing in some Detroit Tigers news, as I'm going to let Brad Cochimilio spearhead some Detroit Tigers news that we're going to start bringing in for our Michigan listeners, as requested by the Michigan listeners to have some Detroit Tiger front as well. So starting next week, we'll have Brad bring in some news with the Detroit Tigers, as I'm sure him being an angry Tiger fan this year.
You know what? I will say this. I thought the Tigers were going to be a 100-loss team this year. There's still the potential for that to happen. They are under 500, but it's been a pleasant surprise. They aren't as bad as I expected them to be, which is good. And it bodes well for the future of the rebuild in Detroit, I think.
It does, and now with almost said Melky Cabrera. Oh my God, Miguel Cabrera. That makes it kind of diminish their chances for the playoffs, but there's only 8 games back. That's not as impossible as I think it is for the Toronto Blue Jays. But fellas, like I said, we're going to take a quick break here, sip on these Molson products, have some of the pizza that we ordered here at Boston Pizza, where we're here after 9 p.m. for their daily specials, the $9 schooners, $4 bar rails, and the half price off appetizers as well. Make sure you get your behind down to Boston Pizza to enjoy that. And when we come back, we're going to dive into the big news of the weekend besides the World Cup, the NHL draft, and what happened at the NHL draft. Definitely looking forward to discussing that with you guys. Like I said, we'll be right back here on The Game Sports Show.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to The Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
Thank you for tuning in to the Game Sports Show, broadcasting Thursday nights from Boston Pizza in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and online at thegamesportshow.podbean.com. I hope you're enjoying the broadcast. Now, if you want to hear more of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national talk show involving the world of sports, I encourage you to visit our website, thegamesportshow.com. There you can hear a couple other broadcasts of the Game Sports Show. Monday nights, we do the game from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sault, Michigan, 6 to 7 o'clock on the radio. WUPN, Eagle 95.1 locally, or online at radioeaglesioux.com. Now, the full 2-hour show can be heard on the podcast page of the game at thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or you can go to our YouTube channel. Just look for Scott Nason. In that one, as yours truly, along with Dave McKeag and our weekly contributors, Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports, along with EJ Russell on the Team Wireless Hot Seat. We focus on local, regional, and national sports, including high school basketball and hockey, junior hockey, Laker athletics, and the Detroit sports scene. And Mr. Electric Avenue Dave McKeag also broadcasts a show on Wednesday night from Sports Center Bar and Grill in Sault, Ontario, along with his regular contributors Jamie Antonello, Justin Heichel, and Dane Hantro. They focus on football with their In the Pocket segment, talking about the NFL along with basketball and the NBA, and other sports including tennis, golf, soccer, and the WWE. Once again, you can hear all 3 versions of the game at our website, thegamesportshow.com, or our podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look for the Scott Nason channel. And thank you for listening, and keep it locked here to the game for all your local, regional, and national sports talk that you just can't get enough of.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsioux.as.me-. The Salon, making the Sioux beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Superior Pro Shop. The Superior Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Superior Pro Shop, for over 40 years, meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful, new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Check out our brand new website, up and running now at thegamesportshow.com. There you can find past broadcasts of all our shows from the Wicked Sister in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and Boston Pizza and Sports Center Bar and Grill in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. As well, you can find our brand new t-shirts available for just $25 a shirt. All sizes are available, and proceeds will go towards Northern Critters in Need and Big Brother, Big Sister of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Now you can purchase the shirt by emailing thegamesportshowssm@gmail.com. Please state the total amount of shirts and size needed. They have payment options available, e-transfer or cash upon delivery, as a shirt can be delivered to your location if you live in the Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and Ontario area free of charge. TheGameSportsShow.com, where you find all your local, regional, and national sports that you just can't get enough of.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. SportsCenter rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At SportsCenter, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. SportsCenter Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
Hi, it's Craig Hartsburg, former NHL player and NHL coach. Welcome to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McKeag, alongside Brad Cochimilio and Justin Heichel. You're live on location at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, where we're here after 9 p.m. And that's their daily specials. As I said at the top of the show, that's the $9 schooners from Molson Canadian Coors Light products, along with $4 bar rails and half price off appetizers as well. Now, at the beginning of the show, we discussed baseball in terms of the local perspective in a humorous way and also a little bit of a serious way, but then we also discussed the MLB with the Toronto Blue Jays as well. But now we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of the show, as Scott Nason would like to say, and we're going to talk about the NHL draft. And we're going to have some listeners who are going to ask if we're going to be talking about the trades that happened and signings that happened. Yes, we're going to sort of touch on those, but due to time constraints, we're going to just touch on those briefly, state what they were, and we're going to tee up our show for next Thursday, where we're going to discuss free agency and the trades that occurred in the draft and future potential trades as well. And also, there's somebody who's having a special meeting with 5 teams this week. His name is John Tavares. As he stated today, he's going to be talking to 5 teams, and we hear that Vegas is on that list. We hear the Toronto Maple Leafs are on that list. You got to think the Montreal Canadiens are probably on that list. Maybe the San Jose Sharks are on that list as well. And also, obviously, the Islanders got to be kind of on that list. But if there's any other teams, you got to even think of a dark horse being in there, the Columbus Blue Jackets as well, who apparently, that I've read, have been interested in the John Tavares train as well. But, it's going to be interesting to see when we touch on that. But as I said, we're going to be talking about the trades in a more of a dissected format and signings and whatnot when it comes to our show this Thursday here at Boston Pizza. We're going to do more dissecting on the NHL draft. And without further ado, fellas, we'll jump into that draft that happened this weekend. And it was certainly an exciting draft, I must say. Before going into the draft, Barry Trotz is now the coach of the New York Islanders, leaving the Washington Capitals. I thought he would maybe consider retirement after a pretty long coaching career, then winning the Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals this year. But Mr. Lou Lamoriello must have persuaded him or worked some magic or whatever it was that he usually does and brought him on board. And Lou Lamoriello does a lot of cleanup with that Islander team going into the weekend, and he also had a very good draft, and we're going to get to his picks as we list some picks and the picks that happened. You can see the full picks that were made by all 31 teams on the NHL website, but we're most certainly going to go through the picks as well here as we discuss the picks on the show. But as I said, Barry Trotz, who signed with the Islanders as a coach, and the Toronto Maple Leafs re-signing Calvin Pickard and also Connor Carrick to 1-year contracts as well on the minor signing front. And also, fellas, I must say, going back to Barry Trotz, lean over to you, Brad, and you, Justin. Barry Trotz is leaving. The Washington Capitals join the Islanders. What does Mr. Lou Lamoriello have up his sleeve right now, Brad?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's a weird situation in the sense that I feel like Lou Lamoriello is using one and the other as far as JT. I feel like there was a conversation with Barry Trotz, and part of Barry Trotz's idea is, if you can convince me that you've got a good shot of having Tavares re-sign, I'm in. Because let's face it, I mean, if you're Barry Trotz, how do you turn down an opportunity to coach John Tavares?
Well, who's one? Alex Ovechkin for Tavares.
New challenge. I mean, when you're a coach, sometimes you're looking for new challenges, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean, let's face it, coaching on the island is going to be a challenge. And you know what? I feel like if Barry Trotz didn't think that the Islanders had a shot to re-sign John Tavares, he doesn't go there. I really feel that way, because that's an Islander team that, with Lou Lamoriello there, I feel like they're going in the right direction. I mean, you look at the way things played out in Toronto, and how he's helped get that Leaf team on the right track. And I feel like he's doing the same type of thing and going to do the same type of thing on the island. And I really feel like, if you're Barry Trotz, you're looking at, kind of pushing the envelope in the sense that, you're looking at, hey, if you bring back John Tavares, absolutely, I'm in. And if you're Lou Lamoriello, it sends a message to John Tavares that you're not kidding around. That you want to have a shot to win hockey games.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's face it. You bring in a guy who just won the Stanley Cup, that tells you that, ownership, management is all in.
It is all.
And you know what? If I'm John Tavares, I'm looking at that, and you know what? I don't blame John Tavares for weighing his options. And I know we're going to touch on this a little more during the week, but I don't blame John Tavares for wanting to weigh his options. But I think this goes a long way in him re-signing in New York.
Unless there's something that we don't know in that Lou mindset, especially with some Toronto players being free agents this year. And we've already discussed JVR probably being on the prime target of Lou Lamoriello. But Justin, just a quick comment with Barry Trotz jumping ship to the island.
I just think it was to me, the Islanders opened up a checkbook. And that was the deciding factor. I mean, he had the option, a 1 year, $1.8 million option in Washington, and he chose to walk away from that. He walked into the Islanders, and I believe he's getting, 5 years at $5 per. So it was a significant upgrade in bank account-wise. So, I mean, that's a pretty easy decision for any of us.
Absolutely, it is. And Barry Trotz coming off a Stanley Cup victory. Jump into a team, we could take those expertise and that experience to a team that obviously has a big offseason ahead that's might really state the direction of the franchise where it's going to go. Even if Tavares leaves, I bet you Lou has a plan backed up to that, as we know how he is in Toronto, Justin. Also, something we're going to jump into quickly that happened here today. John Carlson re-signs for 8 years with the Washington Capitals. Like I said, we're going to jump into that more on our Thursday show, but stating that announcement that he has re-signed an 8-year, $64 million contract extension with the Washington Capitals. They've definitely geared that towards the Victor Hedman contract, is what they were saying. Victor Hedman, who was the James Norris winner. And this year, Carlson, if he's going to be structuring his contract after such, definitely has some pressure to try to win that James Norris. Is $8 million is a lot of money, but he is definitely worth that money. I think because of his performance in the playoffs, really stood out. He's definitely a quarterback of that Washington back end. Fellas, we'll jump into more of the signs and trades for Thursday. It's just a little bit of a taste for the Thursday show that we're going to have, where it's going to be a full free agency and trade and update show, where we might have a lot of news about some players, John Tavares in particular, if there's going to be anything occurring with that. But now we're going to jump into the NHL draft. I'm quickly going to go through the 31 first-round picks that happened. I'm not going to go through all 7 rounds, as that would be absolute insanity and stupidity from mine, and producers would probably drive here, as it would probably take as long. They would drive here and then absolutely bash my head on the Boston Pizza table here. So we're going to go through the first round just first. Obviously, first overall pick, the Buffalo Sabres draft Rasmus Dahlin. And if I butcher any last names, I'm sure I'm going to hear some laughter in the background. I'm sure you, the listeners, are going to laugh, because there are some names that are going to be a little bit difficult to pronounce, as I was even laughing at some of the announcers, especially Brian Burke this weekend. Great job, I think, in terms of his knowledge part, but he's a different kind of reporter. Like, he's different. He's a different bird. But jumping back to the draft, the second overall pick, Andrei Svechnikov. Third overall pick, something that I predicted, but I knew Montreal fans would really dislike it, and they needed to go this route, though. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, centerman. They just traded a centerman. Number 4, Ottawa Senators drafted Brady Tkachuk, son of Matthew Tkachuk, and brother of Matthew Tkachuk, son of Keith. Thank you, Brad, for correcting me. My God, Brady is definitely a very good player. I'm very surprised Montreal didn't go that route, but we'll get to that in just a few moments. 5th overall, Sioux Greyhound centerman Barrett Hayton going to the Arizona Coyotes. 6th overall, Philip Zadania going to the Detroit Red Wings. 7th, the Vancouver Canucks select Quentin Hughes 8th overall, the Hawks select Adam Bofquist. The 9th overall pick, the Rangers select Valtteri Kraftsinoff. There's one butcher on the target there. 10th overall pick, the Edmonton Oilers. Is a very good pick here, I think. Evan Bouchard. The 11th overall pick, the Islanders select Oliver Wahlstrom. The 12th overall pick, the Islanders then took Noah Dobson, whom is definitely a favorite of Brad Kochemilio's and myself, and I believe Justin's as well. Good pick by the Island. 3rd overall pick by the Dallas Stars, Ty Dellandrea. Dellandrea, thank you. 14th overall pick, the Philadelphia Flyers select Joel Farabee, thank you. 5th overall pick, the Florida Panthers select Gregory Denisenko. 16th overall pick, the Mitch Wilson, the bringer of beer's favorite team, the Colorado Avalanche, Martin Kraut. 17th overall pick, the New Jersey Devils select Ty Smith. 18th overall, Jackets select Liam Foudy. The 19th overall, the Philadelphia Flyers select Jay O'Brien. 20th overall, the Kings select Rasmus Kapari. 2 Rasmuses going in that draft. The 21st overall pick, the Sharks select Ryan Merkley. I actually like that pick. The 22nd pick, the New York Rangers select Keandre Miller. 23rd, the Ducks select Isaac Lundstrom. 24th, Minnesota select Philip Johansson. 25th, the Blues select Dominic Bonk. That's a pick they selected and got traded from with the Toronto Maple Leafs. 26th overall pick, the Ottawa Senators select Jacob Bernard Docker. 27th pick, Chicago Blackhawks select Nicholas Baudouin. 28th, the Rangers select Niles Lundqvist. 29th pick, Kyle Dubas. The Toronto Maple Leafs select from the Sault Ste. Marie Grounds Rasmus Sandin. 30th pick, my opinion, great pick here. The Detroit Red Wings selected center Joseph Veleno. And the 31st pick, the Washington Capitals select Alexander Alexiev. The first round wrap up there. And if you want to rehear that, you can simply just rewind or check out the NHL.com or just rewatch the draft online. We're going to go through this and dissect picks that we like and we're going to talk about here. It's the best way, I think, for us to do it, and some things that happened throughout the day. I'm going to start, and I'm going to start with going with the Montreal Canadiens for Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Love saying that name. I'm going to get it perfect soon enough. I remember saying last week on the Game Sports Show Monday at the Wicked Sister with myself and Scott Nason that the Montreal Canadiens are going to go this route because they just traded Alexander Galchenyuk. They traded a centerman to the Arizona Coyotes for Max Domi. Now, they said that Max Domi is going to be playing a role of a centerman at times, but he is a winger. He's not a centerman. Okay, so this pick is because besides having Domi as a hybrid, they don't have a lot of strength at center. They're not deep at center. Yes, I'm sure fans would have loved them to score the Brady Tkachuk route, son of Keith Tkachuk. Just so everybody knows, that I do know that. But Brady Tkachuk going to the Ottawa Senators, I think, was a great pick, especially for the Ottawa Senators having the summer that they're going to have and have been having the season. There's a little bit of a bright spot. It was a good day for the Ottawa Senators there. But going back to what I was saying, the Montreal Canadiens needed a centerman. They had to go that route. They had to. Barrett Hayton, this is all due respect to Barrett Hayton, I think Jesperi is more NHL ready than Barrett is. Okay, I honestly think he is. Barrett, I think another year in Major Junior would be beneficial to him. You know, where he can lead. We don't know where the Hounds are going to be this year. I think they're still going to ice a very competitive team. They're the Sioux Grounds. They've been great for years, a great management. But the Montreal Canadiens, the fans were so upset, man. Fans in attendance. See that girl with the glasses on that had that look? There's so many memes on social media right now about her. Oh my God, what the bleep? What the heck is this? What kind of piece of shit pick is this? And that will not be bleeped. I'll just tell you right now. That's what people were saying when they made that pick. So I'm saying, I think Montreal made the good choice. I know Montreal fans out there right now are literally cursing at the radio right now as they hear that, or on their computers or on their phones, wherever you're listening to the Game Sports Show currently. But they needed to make that pick. They could have also considered trading that pick if they wanted to do something. But honestly, that's the pick that they needed to make. Now, I'll get you guys comments quickly about it, and then we'll go to Brad secondly to talk about a pick that he thought was a pick that needed to be done.
Okay, I'm going to jump in and weigh in on the Montreal Canadiens selection. First, this is no disrespect to the kid that they took, but that's not a position. When you're drafting third overall, you do not draft based on a positional need. Because if that's the way you do it, the Detroit Red Wings pass on Philip Zadina. On Philip Zadina.
Good point. You got to take the best available.
If the Detroit Red Wings were drafting based on position, I can guarantee you that one of Quinn Hughes, Noah Dobson, or one of the any other number of high-end defensemen available in this draft would be a Detroit Red Wings selection right now.
Great point. Great point.
And this is no disrespect to Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
There you go.
He's, the consensus is he's going to be a solid pro player. But this was a pick where the Montreal Canadiens drafted based on position as opposed to best player available.
You think it should have went with Brady Tkachuk?
If I'm Montreal, I'm going with one of Brady Tkachuk, Philip Zadina. I honestly consider, I'm very high on Noah Dobson. I consider him. As much as that may seem like a reach, I think Noah Dobson is that good. There are a handful of players that I would have taken at 3 ahead of what Montreal did. Now looking through round 1, I mean, there are a couple of picks. I mean, obviously Zadina at 6 for Detroit. I mean, they're laughing in the fact that he falls to 6. I'm sure Ken Holland couldn't get up to the podium any faster to select him. But I really like what the New York Islanders did. They had back-to-back picks at 11 and 12, and they got a very high-end player in Oliver Wahlstrom, who I've had the opportunity to see at U17s. I've seen a little bit with the U18 team. He's a Swedish background, but he's an American. Dual citizenship. He's a high-end forward. And Noah Dobson. I will go on record saying I feel like Noah Dobson is going to be the second best defenseman taken in this draft behind Rasmus Dahlin.
I actually agree.
Watching this kid for 2 weeks in Regina and just the way he plays and the way he practices the game, this kid is a player. He is the epitome of a student of the game.
Nice.
And this kid's gonna be a player. I mean, there were, this is a first round that there were some surprises there, but there's some high-end talent here. One I wasn't too big of a fan of. I wasn't a big fan of Ryan Merkley in round 1.
No way.
Ryan Merkley is the type of kid that I feel like there are too many deficiencies in his game, specifically.
Apparently.
And if we strictly leave it on the ice, his defensive game needs a lot of work.
Is he in a good locker room there, though? Like Brian Burke said, there's iron in that locker room. But that iron's not going to be there long either.
But see, and that's the thing, though, right? I respect Brian Burke, but I know George Burnett very well. He's a very well-respected guy around the Ontario Hockey League. He coached a guy most NHL people will know. He coached a gentleman named P.K. Subban for 3 years. P.K. Subban is a very outgoing, outspoken personality.
Oh, yeah, he is.
And
cover of the NHL 19 now.
Yep. And George Burnett is a very straight-laced guy. He's a very business-like guy. I dealt with him. I've dealt with him a ton. And if George Burnett can get along with P.K. Subban, you can pretty much get along with anybody. Because P.K. Subban and George Burnett couldn't be more opposite in terms of their personalities. Yeah. And that's no disrespect, because I know both guys. I've dealt with both guys. They were both amazing to deal with. But, I feel like, I respect Brian Burke and his opinion on that. But if you want to be a pro, you find a way to play for and play with certain people. And if I'm Ryan Merkley, I'm trying to make that adjustment, plain and simple. And I mean, I hope he does, because his offensive skill is off the charts. His offensive skill is as good as most defensemen in this draft, without a doubt. But it's the other deficiencies in his game that worry me.
Wow, I like that. See, I remember saying when I read it off that I liked the signing with, well, the drafting, I should say, with the San Jose Sharks because of Ryan Merkley. I think he's getting put in a situation of that, but Brad brings up very good points. A lot of efficiencies from that end. But Justin, over to you in terms of comments with maybe the Montreal pick, if you want to touch on that, but then also your own comments with both the draft before we touch on Brad's comments with the New York Islanders.
Well, I mean, I think I agree with Brad totally in Montreal drafting positionally, and it's like on a positional need instead of best player available. Like, to me, it's like a general manager trying to save his job somehow, but this player isn't going to slot into your lineup until you're the general manager of the beer store somewhere in Quebec. Like, it doesn't really, though. Honestly, like, this guy's Bergevin hasn't done a whole lot to help his reputation, I think, in the last 18 months at the very least. And your star player is expected to get traded a couple times, and now you're, I don't know.
Pacioretty's next to go.
Well, I don't mean to get off topic there. It's a frustrating, when you have a pick like that, you have to nail it. You can't just go out on a waiver and hope that this is going to work out. I think Ottawa and everyone down the line lucked out from Montreal making that pick. That's like Montreal, and this is no disrespect to the player whatsoever. He may you got to remember, we're talking about a kid here.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to tarnish anything on him. I don't think he's been brought into a situation where he could maximize his potential right now. Instant analysis right now, we don't know what's going to happen a year or two from now in Montreal, but just looking at the draft board, Ottawa benefited. Detroit 100% benefited from that. I liked Arizona taking Hayden. I really did. I think that really solidifies Arizona down the middle for a lot of years. Just like if you look at their center depth chart right now, it's kind of terrifying in terms of depth, not
future
potential depth, not
They don't have Crosby, Malkin up there,
but the thing we're looking at with NHL players too, or players in any sports in general, is we're either looking at past performance or future prospects of performance. You know what I mean? We're never really, the current's the current, but we're either going to talk about what they did and rate them based on that, or rate them based on what we think they're going to do. I think Arizona's, if they can, you're going to have to lose some of that center depth to shore up the goaltending, which we all talked about because we couldn't name their goaltender. But Detroit lucked out. It is, eh? He was hurt.
Yes.
That's why. Okay. Because he was the other one. Like, he was in New York and then ended up in Arizona, and Darling went from Chicago to Carolina.
Yeah,
that's how that shook out. All right. But yeah, Detroit was Zadina. I like that pick. And I think that's a home run. Noah Dobson, I think, is a home run. For us Greyhound fans, I think LA picking Kupari, and that might force him to North America to bolster the Greyhounds lineup for us next year, giving us another, killer group of centers going into next season. I like the Leaf pick. I really do. I think we all knew that was going to happen. And
is that your favorite pick?
I mean, I might be a little biased, but I think 4 or 5 years from now, he's potential of a Lindholm for us. I really do. I think that's the ceiling I give him. But I don't know. Detroit nailed it again at 30 too. Like
Joseph Foligno.
Yeah, you know what? I think Detroit had a really good draft in the first. The Islanders had a really good draft in the first. And I really like the Rangers. I mean, you don't often talk about the Rangers building for the future, but I thought the Rangers had an okay first round.
They usually don't. They've traded a lot of their picks in the past. Now they pick first in the first round, and they get some good depth there. And Brad, I must say, the Islanders are, between them and the Red Wings, those are two teams that I think get A-pluses on the draft. I couldn't agree more with Oliver Wahlstrom and especially Noah Dobson. Couldn't agree more. We're looking into Noah, especially. My favorite player in the draft, though, to be totally honest, my favorite player, everyone loves Rasmus Dahlin. Sure, I'm not going to include him in my selections here because it's a little... he's a generational talent, I think. Poor soul's got to go to Buffalo. Hopefully they can get their stuff together over there in Buffalo. But I'm a big fan of Brady Tkachuk. I seriously am. I've always liked the Tkachuk boys. You know, I really think that, you know, Tkachuk in Calgary right now, brings an edge to the game that we don't see much. But I think Brady is going to help maybe get Ottawa back, who Ottawa has a lot of young talent as well. Can't forget they have Shabbat and Ceci on that back end, so they have some good young guys with White there. Can't forget about Colin White. Can't forget about some of these guys that are there in Ottawa that they have a chance to build a team around and try to resurface the reputation to a positive standpoint for that team. But I couldn't agree more with you, Brett, to comment. My point of hold on that is that the Islanders definitely getting steals. Now you, Justin, liking the Barrett Hayton pick, I also will say that I like the pick. I was surprised he went 5th. I would think that I was predicting him to potentially go to the 8th, 9th, 10th area. Not saying the Oilers would have picked him because they don't have as much defense, but that's another team that picked on need, but they picked a good defenseman, though, in Evan Bouchard, okay? So I'm not saying that was a bad pick. It was a very good pick, but teams that picked on need, it was Montreal, it was Edmonton. You could go Buffalo of sorts. You could go not Arizona. Arizona went best player available in their mind because they're deep at center. So a lot of teams took a lot of different approaches. But the Montreal Canadiens took the one on need, and Brad, I couldn't agree more now thinking of it that way, that they should have went the other route. Poor Bergevin. The guy's setting himself up for failure right now. He needs to do something this summer. Or, you know what, he might be on the hot seat if he already is not on the hot seat. But Toronto drafted Rasmus Sandin. We're going to get to that in just a few seconds, but I've got to say that I do like the pick, not surprised. But the biggest steal of the draft, I'm going to say right now, and I'm tied here between Joseph Foligno and Noah Dobson. I really am. I think Dobson should have been higher. I know 12th pick isn't really a steal when you think about it, but I think he's more of a top 7 talent. That's right. I think I would have put him ahead of Quentin Hughes. That's right. So that's why I'm gearing towards that, who went to the Vancouver Canucks. Joseph Foligno and the Detroit Red Wings. That is the steal of the draft. I'm going to call it right now that guy is going to be a top 6 center in the National Hockey League, and he's going to be the second best forward in this draft next to Brady Tkachuk. Brady will have, I think, a stronger career than Andrei Shevchenko will, and I really think that Joseph is going to do really well on a system in Detroit that really sets up their youth for success. But going back to the Toronto Maple Leafs side of picks now, they picked 2 Greyhounds in this draft with Mac Hollowell going in the 4th round, but Sandin being that first pick, the Leafs trading down from 25. I remember texting you, Justin, saying Joseph Foligno, but then they popped up on the TV, Rasmus Sandin, and I said, oh my goodness. We knew about talking about this earlier in the week that he was available for draft, and that's something that slipped my mind. As soon as he popped up on the screen, I'm like, that is who Dubas is picking. He went the Sioux route there. He has all of his information here in the Sioux. You know, he knows who he was drafting. And with Rasmus Sandin, does he have potential, Brad? Should Leaf fans be excited about having a potential top 4 defenseman, or do you think that that's too early to say? Because that's going to be our next kind of quick talk, that we won't. This is the type of draft that we won't see success for another 5 years, probably, or so. But with Rasmus Sandin, should Leaf fans be excited?
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, I watched this kid play live in person 40 odd times a year. You know, he's one of those kids that just for me, he's you know what, he's going to be a solid player in Toronto. I really believe that he's going to be a top 4D. You know, he moves the puck well. It's one of those things that, and I mean, I know a lot of people talk about Joe Veleno, and I was really high on Joe Veleno. I like his game a lot, but for me, I don't think you could go wrong with either guy. Because realistically, and I say this as a Red Wing fan, if Joe Veleno wasn't there at 30, I would have no problem with the Red Wings taking Rasmus Sandin. Not a problem.
Nice. good to hear from a true sports expert too, as well, Brad. Justin, I'm going to go to you quickly with the side of things with the Rasmus Sandin comments. Quickly before, because I know you got to take off here, so before we sign off and say goodbye to you, before Brad and I conclude tonight's show. Comments on Rasmus.
I mean, like I said earlier, I think his upside compares him to Cal Lindholm. I really do see him being that, not necessarily a calming puck-moving defenseman, but a responsible puck-moving defenseman. Unlike the irresponsible puck-moving defenseman we have now that you seem to not be a fan of.
What's his name?
We will not speak of him. It's the name we do not speak of on this show because it causes giant arguments. But I really do think going into this season with the Hounds, Sandin, you're going to break the chains off him a little bit and see how his offensive upside. We know what he can do defensively, but let's see what you can do getting first pairing minutes now and see how you can see how that side of the game comes in and see what you can do with your point total. And with us being able to see him hands-on, I think it's a little more exciting just for us locally here. I mean, how excited were we with that big goon there for Hamilton when we got to watch him in the playoffs here, and he ended up bailing on the Leafs.
Martin from the Firebirds, the defense, Nick Mattinen.
Yeah, and he ended up he redeclared for the draft and didn't sign with Toronto.
No,
but to have some local Leaf talent being on the Greyhounds, let alone Barrett Hayton. I mean, like, you got 2 first-round NHL draft, 3 technically if you had Kapari in there, that we could be watching on the Hounds next year, and I think it's exciting.
We could see another potential for Memorial Cup, so Hounds fans should be excited for potential for us to even, get past the championship. Might be a realistic option. Justin, I'm going to let you go because I know you have to go. Brad and I will conclude the rest of the show for the final moments here of the show. Justin, we'll see you on Thursday.
100%. We got a lot to talk about, some exciting stuff this week, and hopefully we get some rumors coming out after these players start to chit-chat with GMs this week.
John Tavares. We're going to see Justin will be back here on Thursday. Sure, shouldn't be next week. It'll be this week's, as it is Sunday, as I said. But Brad, it's you and I for the final 5 minutes of the show before we sign off here tonight. And we've had some fun with this new equipment. We got 2 different gears going here. We got the new mic, we got the new soundboard going on, we got new stuff going on. So if anyone heard a little clash before I talked to Justin, it's because I dropped one of them. And I apologize to the board operator, Scott Nason. It wasn't the new one that I dropped. It was the older thing that I dropped, but it's still a nice thing that I had in my hand there. But Brad, it's just the final thoughts about the draft. You and I are going to kind of discuss maybe the winners of the draft and the losers of the draft. I think that'd be something good for us to dissect into. And I'll go to you first to say potential winners and losers of the draft.
Looking straight through, I'm a really big fan of what the New York Islanders did. And I feel like I could even just base that on their top 2 picks, that they did extremely well, but their draft class overall this year, that's a lot of credit to Lou Lamoriello and the staff there for getting the job done, getting 2 high-end players early, and just basically having themselves a solid draft. As far as other teams, I was really impressed with what the Detroit Red Wings did. Obviously getting Zadina at 6th overall was massive.
Absolutely.
And for me, that could have almost changed if they don't get Zadina there. Maybe I'm looking at them as doing well, but not being a winner of the draft. So to get Zadina, to get Veleno in round 1, they take a defenseman from out east, and Jared McIsaac, who I think was a good pick. I like that a lot. Jared McIsaac, I think, is one of those kids that he plays a very quiet game. He's not going to be the high-end flashy guy that some of these kids picked were. He's not going to be like a Rasmus Dahlin. He's not going to be like Sandin. He's not really this high-end guy, but he's just a real solid defenseman from the Halifax Mooseheads. For me, those are 2 of the teams. Obviously, Buffalo getting Rasmus Dahlin is massive. For them. I mean, I liked Barrett Hayton at 5. I mean, he was a kid who, a lot of people talk about him being a surprise going that high. He wasn't going to, from what I can understand, he's not making it out of the top 10. I hear Chicago was very interested in him at 8. Edmonton had some interest in him at 10. He wasn't making it out of the top 10. So that's a good, solid pick for an Arizona team that needed it. I don't think Barrett Hayton makes the Coyotes next year, but I think his presence makes for a very solid draft for them as well. But I mean, for me, the two biggest teams are the Islanders and Detroit, without a doubt.
Be interesting to see if the Hounds give some leadership roles to Barrett Hayton and Rasmus Sandin.
That'd be a heck of an ad if they got Rasmus Dahlin.
But good to see Sandin and Hayton being local talent, as Justin said, getting drafted as high as they did. Now, I'm going to say, with my part, like I know you touched the Islanders and the Detroit Red Wings. Those are two teams that really stand out to me, but I'm going to go to a team that's not the obvious standout for a surprise in a draft. And people are going to be probably pretty surprised, I'm going to say this, but the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, they had a good draft.
I've had a very good draft, especially with some of the moves. They've handled the Mike Hoffman thing better than I expected, moving them, and they couldn't move him to Florida, so they moved him to San Jose, but San Jose ended up flipping him to Florida anyways. Now, what's really going to break their offseason is how they handle the Erik Karlsson situation. So the Ottawa Senators had a good draft with Tkachuk and then drafting Jacob Bernard-Docker. So I had 2 picks in the first round. I actually like the Jacob Bernard-Docker pick. After looking into him, I think that's a good fit for Ottawa. Brady Tkachuk, I'm a big fan of, as everyone can tell just by the segment how I am a fan of Tkachuk. And, I really think that they are the top 3, along with the Detroit Red Wings and New York Islanders, being winners of the draft. And I must point out, captain with the London Knights, Evan Bouchard.
Yeah, that's a real
solid pick at 10. And I know Dane Hancho, one of the analysts here on the Thursday edition of the Game Sports Show, who's on his seasonal leave right now currently, was high praise and was extremely excited. So got to give a shout out to the Edmonton Oilers, and on behalf of Dane as well, who felt that his Oilers had a big win at the draft. And he also touched on the Chicago Blackhawks being a team that he thought was another steal for him. So all those 5 teams being the ones that stand out. And I got to say, Toronto fans, we got to trust in the process when it comes to Dubas. The guy knows what he's doing. Rasmus Sandin is a good pick. Yes, yours truly was surprised because of Joseph Foligno being on the board. But you know what? 29 or 30, either pick was a good pick, as Brad Kochmilio stated there. Definitely a great draft, an exciting draft, especially when it came to trades, signings today. But as I said at the top of the second part, we are going to be talking about the signings and the trades and all that fun stuff on Thursday this week. We do our Thursday show because it's free agent time.
Next weekend.
And next weekend's a free agency time. We're going to do all the rumors. We're going to have our predictions. We're going to have all the reports up to date by then. So, we're going to jump into that on Thursday. And with concluding the draft portion of the show here tonight, I got to go with the loser of the draft, Brad. The loser of the draft. And I did say at the top how the 3rd pick is the one I dissected with the Montreal Canadiens, okay? But I really think the loser of the draft is between the Florida Panthers and the Montreal Canadiens. I wasn't a fan of Florida's pick. With Gregory Denisenko, I felt they could have went with another need. I thought maybe Ty Smith would have been a good fit in Florida, or they could have went the other route with potentially Joseph Foligno as well, add more depth based on the best player available. But Joseph, who ended up dropping anyways 15 more picks later. So I got to say, though, ultimately that the Montreal Canadiens were the ultimate loser of the draft. And a diamond in the rough pick, got to go with the New York Rangers as well with that. A lot of good diamond in the rough picks, but the biggest loser being the Florida Panthers. Do you have a loser in the draft?
Yeah, you know what I mean. I can't really argue with that. I wasn't a big fan of Montreal's draft.
Surprise.
Touching on the Rangers too. I really like Keandre Miller.
Yep.
Taking him in the first round at 22. He's one of those defensemen that he wasn't the big name, but he's as solid as some of the other guys that went. Especially in that area, like some of the guys like Ty Smith and whatnot. So I mean, he's a guy that I think is going to be a good fit there. I think Ranger fans are going to like him a lot. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Montreal's draft. I mean, I get where they were going drafting out of drafting for a positional need, but I mean, when you're like I said earlier, when you're drafting that high, you can't afford to go with that. You go BPA, and I mean, for me, there were so many other options, whether it was Tkachuk, Hayton, Zadina, Hughes, Dobson. Oliver Wahlstrom was another guy that, I wouldn't have been shocked to see go in the top 10. There were so many other options that they could have went with. Yeah. For them to go for a bit of a reach there. If you're going to do that, trade down. Yeah. If you're going to take a guy like that, they probably could have afforded to trade down lower in the top 10 and still got the guy they wanted.
Absolutely. And you know what I will say, because I did say we were going to touch on this, and I know that was our last point, but to kind of really conclude, this is going to be a draft where we see players besides Rasmus and maybe the top two, where we're going to see in the NHL instantly. That this is going to be a draft we're going to dissect 4 or 5 years from now.
Yeah.
That we're really going to see what turned out and what didn't, because I think this wasn't a deep draft, but it was still an even draft based on the talent available.
It's, you know what, and I mean, I've said this before. This draft, you always need about 4 or 5 years to tell how good a draft really was. You can start getting a real feel for it. I feel like this draft, after Rasmus Dahlin and maybe Andrei Svechnikov at 2, I feel like this is a draft where we're going to look back on it and it's going to be not necessarily a ton of amazing players, but you're going to see a lot of really solid NHL players coming out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really think that this draft was actually a pretty exciting draft, as something that I honestly didn't expect. I thought it was going to be kind of a straightforward draft, but there's some movement. And, Gary Bettman getting the odd boo and whatnot, as he always does, definitely. Certainly exciting weekend that was full of surprises, except the one that the Leafs picked at 29 with that hound being available. We knew Roe Dubas was definitely going. Congratulations to Dubas on his first draft from a Leaf fan and a Sioux guy making his impression on his very first draft in the National Hockey League. Fresh off his Calder Cup win, too. Is very excited. Calder Cup win. I've never seen someone celebrate that hard. That must be a Sioux thing, because that's how we are here. Very loud, vocal, and we celebrate everything.
And that does a lot for, and I know we'll touch on this at another time, but that does a lot for the stock of Sheldon Keefe as well. He's already drawn interest. I think he was a guy that probably, had the New York Rangers not hired David Quinn from BU, from Boston University, I feel like Sheldon Keefe would have been a guy who could have been, potentially in line for that job. Sheldon Keefe's stock is massively through the roof right now because of that.
Oh, absolutely. And I can tell you right now, I know we have someone named Mike Babcock at the helm for still the next 5 years. The Toronto Maple Leafs, and he's the best coach in the National Hockey League. But Sheldon Keefe, I'm sure Dubas is going to do whatever he can in his power to try to keep him part of that organization for as long as he can. Maybe 5 years might be a little stretch to wait for Sheldon, but if you bring up the checkbook in Toronto, maybe he will do that.
Looking at a potential promotion to an assistant coach in the NHL, maybe.
Yeah, I think that'd be a very good move for Toronto. That could be, and we can just maybe discuss that on Thursday. We have a little bit of time, but definitely increases his stock highly. Now, Brad, that was tonight's show. We had a great show, as we always do, myself, you, and Justin, talking local baseball on the funny side of things before we get into the serious stuff as the summer goes along with Sioux Minor baseball, but also talking the Jays and also dissecting the draft. As I said, and as Brad said, and as Justin said, we're going to dissect the trades, rumors, and free agency frenzy and the signings that occurred and all that later on this week on the Thursday show. And I'm sure this week on also the Monday and, yes, the Wednesday show that we have this week, we'll touch on a couple things, especially on the Monday show being where we talk more variety of sports, as Wednesdays is mostly football and local football and all that variety side. But Thursday we do have a lot that we're going to be discussing and get into that. Monday, which is tomorrow night, June the 25th, it'll be myself and Scott Nason at the Wicked Sister at 6 p.m. until 8 o'clock. And you can join us live on location, which you should. The Wicked Sisters are a great place to be as well. And, shoot your comments at us in the background, much like one of the analysts on the show, E.J. Russell, did, and ultimately end up getting on the show across the river. And you can hear him on the show then, and also Butch Davis. That's a part of our Monday show. We do have a show this Wednesday at Sports Center Bar and Grill. Myself, Jamie Antonello, and Matt Primo, coach of the varsity SaberCats. They're both coaches, actually, for those SaberCats. We plan to have some players or executive or other coaches come on by for interviews for that. So we have our off-season in the pocket edition with SaberCats football here and any other football news that we'll be dissecting. And also, we'll be talking about a little NBA. as draft is around the corner for that. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk a little bit of other sports as well. And here on the Thursday show, we're obviously going to be talking about baseball and the free agency frenzy coming along as well. Now, people have asked, because the rumors have been going out and has pretty much been announced on mine and Jamie Henderson's Facebook, how the Game Sports Show will be joining Silver Creek Golf Course this summer. That is true. We will be talking about it on this upcoming Thursday. So the 28th, we'll have full details about the Silver Creek edition of the Game Sports Show, which means that Silver Creek is going to be a part of a lot of things on the show, and also prizes when it comes to our trivia prizes. And also that means we're going to have more golf discussions, and where those golf discussions are going to be, it's going to be on the Thursday edition of the Game Sports Show, where we're going to be talking golf along with baseball in the same segment, but we're going to get to those details later on in the week. To listen to previous shows of the Game Sports Show, go to thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Follow us on that Podbean page. It's an app. It's a great app. Follow it. You can follow us on your computer as well. Scott Neeson's YouTube channel as well. And you can also check out our website, thegamesportshow.com. And you can check out our merchandise. Send us an email for size of shirts and amount of shirts you require. We can get them to you via cash or for e-transfer, and we deliver for free in the Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and Sault, Michigan region, which is a pretty good combination, I think.
Great deal.
Great deal. Gas is pretty expensive right now. Pretty expensive, I must say. And much thanks to Walker Ahmed of Northern Sign in Sault Ste. Marie for making these very sharp shirts. And you can check out my Instagram as well, and some of my friends' Instagrams who have been wearing the shirts. A friend of mine and the best man at his wedding later on the year, Jerry Patingle, was wearing the shirt in Ottawa. And he had some questions, and he took pictures with it on Instagram and was using the hashtag as well and getting things going for the Game Sports Show. So definitely got to be a part of the trend in Sault Ste. Marie buying a shirt, which all the proceeds go towards charities, Northern Critters in Need, and Big Brother, Big Sister. So, Brad, let's say bye to you, and Thursday this week, live on location, Boston Pizza.
Hey, it'll be great to get back on a Thursday night, get back to the Thursday night routine.
Definitely, and we apologize to listeners that we had a lot of scheduled adjustments, but that has happened due to the events that are happening in the NHL with the awards, with the draft, and also some schedule adjustment. Make sure you keep an eye on our Twitter, on our Instagram page, or on our website, on our shows on Mondays and or Wednesdays with regards to agenda changes as well. Or you can simply message myself, Brad, or Justin, Scott, EJ, or Butch, or Jamie and or Dustin as well for schedule changes. Now, I must give a shout out to Scott Neeson, a board operator tonight. Fantastic job. Lauren and Mitch, as always, here at Boston Pizza, the bringer of beer, Mitch Wilson. Great job as Boston Pizza staff always does, and there's a great atmosphere here at Boston Pizza as always. Also, thanks to our list of sponsors: Sports Center Bar and Grill, North Shore Sports and Auto, the Superior Pro Shop, the Salon, Discover the Canvas, Northern Critters in Need, Big Brother, Big Sister, the Wicked Sister, and Pingator Cleaners for their contributions, and to you, the listeners, as always, for following us on the show. We're going to be back here. The Game Sports Show will be back live tomorrow at the Wicked Sister. Make sure you don't miss it. Wednesday, as I said, at Sports Center, and we'll be back here, myself, Brad, and Justin, along with some hopeful guests as well for our Thursday show, where we'll be talking NHL free agency. So make sure you keep it locked here on the Game Sports Show. Make sure you follow us, because you don't want to miss any of the news that the Sault Ste. Marie's only local, regional, and national sports show provides. Getting to the conclusion now. I like winding it up. Keep your stick on the ice. Swing your bats. Catch your touchdown. Drain your threes. And shoot your shots. Booyah.